So if the DC, I mean, obviously they're going to have their long-term villains, but I think Lex should definitely be one of those long-term villains. You know, Thanos style, but it's not the Infinity Stones. It's the Legion of Doom or something. Like, this starts, we're going to see his motivation, why he hates Superman. He's the main villain in the Superman movie. That's just going to grow into something much bigger, I think. I think the Legion of Doom is going to be, if not the villain of the first Justice League movie, I think the Legion of Doom is going to be very significant as far as villains. We already have Sinestro cast and the Lantern show coming out. I could really see Lex getting pissed at the end of this, and whether they do post-credits or not, even if they don't do post-credits, a lot of nerd movies put that scene just at the end of the movie, which is fine, the teasing stuff. So if I say post-credit ever, I mean either or, pretty much. But I was thinking of a post-credit where Lex literally finds Sinestro and says, hey, let's join the team, whatever, because he's already cast. He's on the Legion of Doom. You could do, or any new villain. You could introduce a villain for the first time at the end of Superman. But I swear this dude's going to start building the Legion of Doom. And I think that's going to be one of the end scenes there, is at least if he's not meeting a character, we're going to see like the File, the Avengers Initiative, no, like the Legion of Doom, where he's going to start, like, look, I need some super-powered people to take these guys down. Actually, I mean, do you think that the Green Lantern and the Hawk Girl, they're funded by Lex Luthor? Because I was thinking they work for him in the trailers, and I was thinking, if that's true, Superman would kind of teach them the way by the end of this movie. Like, look, dude, you're working for a corrupt asshole, and from there, they're going to go put on their comic-accurate uniforms and be themselves. And I even think Guy Gardner is the perfect character to be kind of he's going to catch a lot of flack for this, like going corporate, putting a uniform over the green. And I think like Hal and John, I think he's going to have a bad rep because of that. I think it might be something they just make fun of him for, because Guy needs to be made fun of a little bit, I think, just for his character. But I think that'll have ramifications, the fact that he signed up with some corporate stuff to begin with. But yeah, how do you think of Lex building the Legion of Doom in a post-credit?
I think it's a good idea. Even starting straight away, you kind of need to start building up a long-term enemy for Superman, the Justice League, any of those guys, to be fair. You can't have each individual person's or Justice League members' enemies showing up and be a constant thorn. So you need to have one overarching. And everyone's obviously going to look to Darkseid, but we're talking that's probably going to be 3-4 Justice League films down the line. Yeah. Kind of like, as we know, a Thanos type way of doing it. Getting him to build up first and being that constant thorn, but always having a way to survive and coming back to be a thorn on their side again, and building with different villains and stuff is a good way to do it. I like the way of bringing Guy Gardner into it, of having him being like a corporate guy or putting a uniform over the ring and getting sort of manipulated that way by Lex to do it. I'm not sure about Hawk Girl. Yeah. I'm not sure about Hawk Girl. Right. I think because of her history, if I'm right, of being, she gets reincarnated every time she dies, isn't she?
Right.
And so I think because she's been around for a long time, I don't think she would be so easily manipulated. She's that way.
She's more honourable and holy and all that.
Yeah. But yeah, I do like the idea of just Lex building up a Legion of Doom or something like that over the course of just dipping in and out of other people's films. You doesn't need to be. You can obviously put him a big part of Superman films because he's a big Superman villain, but you can have him dipping in and out of other people's films to start doing that and building things up and just being a little nuisance, or a bad guy in someone else's film, a Batman film or a Flash film or anything like that. Just finding out that Lex is the one funding that villain or something like that. Yeah. Or Lex appears somewhere in it going, hey, why don't we work together? I can help you with these guys. And just building it up along the way.
Yeah. And then let's go back to the trailer itself. You saw the Superman trailer. What did you think?
Yeah. It's a difficult one for me.
Interesting.
I so want to come out of this and be so excited and so... because every time you watch a trailer, you want to get goosebumps that you're feeling it, because this is something that they need to really do hit the ground running with and get right. Otherwise, it's going to be under a cloud for every film that comes out for the next few years. And I sit there, and I had it with the first trailer, and unfortunately I had it with the second trailer, that I came out the end of it, and I wasn't psyched. I wasn't excited. I didn't feel that rush of adrenaline that you get at the end of it and go, I'm now hyped for this. I looked at it, and I felt there was too much going on. It feels like there is a lot going on in this film. Like, they're throwing 4, 5, 6 different heroes / villains in there. He says that he wants to have it grounded and centered around. This is what, like a year 2 or year 3 Superman. So he's still like fairly new. At the same point, he said he wants to have like it be more sci-fi-ish and have sci-fi threats, which is why we see some of the big monsters in there. At the same point, you're trying to keep it grounded on Earth with like Lex, but then you're bringing in like Ultraman and Mr. Fantastic and Hawkgirl and Guy Gardner, and it's just like, what the fuck? There just seemed to be too much going on for me to sit there and go, this feels amazing, and it feels like it inspires Superman type energy aura for me. I just didn't get that feeling, unfortunately. I was so sad. I was genuinely sad because I was like so wanting to be hyped for it, and just as well, like I talked on my show about how strong music plays a role in these types of things as well. And the Superman theme is obviously one of the most well-known themes, but this like synth version of it just didn't quite hit the mark for me either. It didn't make the goosebumps go on the back of my neck and just brought me in and go, that's Superman's music and that's going to kick some ass. It just didn't quite hit the spots across the board for me. And I know I'm one of the few that feel that way.
Yeah. Man, I loved it. I loved it, man. Ooh. I thought it nailed it. I loved how they started with the interview. I loved how they showed how angry he was when like people were going to die. I'm not worried about the red tape, bureaucracy, the nations. And I loved that interview turned heated. You could see how important it is for Superman to save the individual. Other than that, I liked all that was going on. I trusted with James Gunn. Look at all the characters he balanced in all his Guardians movies. I forgot
how much you love James Gunn. Trust you got him.
I'll gloss him up all day. I think he's just going to handle the character well. But the trailer really worked on every level for me, man. That's all I'll say. I mean, I've talked a lot about it on our show too, but man, I really, really did like the trailer, and I'm having trouble thinking of the details that I want to explain, but I don't want to gloss it up too much. I'll just say I did like it a lot. I think it nailed the character. I like the colorful. It looks action-packed and colorful, and the lanterns. I can't wait to see where the story actually goes, and I really can't wait to see Lex Luthor as a villain. I guess James Gunn's one thing is he doesn't do great villains. The High Evolutionary was his best, but I wouldn't call him a great villain. He probably just screamed too much. That kind of took me out of him. But I think Lex has to be his best villain. He has no business doing Lex Luthor unless this is his best on-screen villain ever.
Let me put a question to you. How do you feel about the fact that they've said that the DCU is not going to be linear like the MCU is? So they treat it more like Star Wars, where they can jump around from era to era. So they can jump 10 years into the future where you can have an old Batman with his kid, and then you can jump back to having like a lantern show that's set like a year before, say, Superman, and then you could jump to the second Superman film. How do you bring that together in a universe that's starting off brand new when you're jumping around and having different stages of the story? Are you only going to be able to see it at the end of how cohesive it is and come together? Or how can you put together a Justice League film for like the first one if you've jumped around all over the place and you've had the heroes at different eras in their lives?
We'll have to see how extreme the jumping around is, but the one thing that'll help all of us is they did come out and officially say the first like 4 or 5 projects are in chronological order.
Yeah.
Superman comes out, and then Peacemaker takes place after Superman. The Supergirl takes place after Peacemaker. And that's pretty much the only thing and Lanterns takes, like, everything that comes out is chronologically where it's placed so far. I think they're gonna build a nice foundation of familiarity for us before we start jumping around. Like, there's no way you do the first Batman movie is like 10 years later, Dark Knight Returns. And plus, wouldn't you think a lot of that stuff would be Elseworlds? Because the Elseworlds thing allows them to jump around a ton. We don't even have a single Elseworlds project confirmed, but we know they're planning to do that.
I mean, is the Elseworlds stuff even really needed right now? They're just doing that because you had the Batman, which was successful.
Yeah.
And so therefore, and the Penguin was successful on top of that as well. So they've kind of gone, okay, you can have some Elseworlds stuff because as one-offs that's popular. But to me, it's just going to cause, because with all due respect, the fairly average person, when it comes to this stuff, needs some stuff explaining to them. Or people seem to get easily confused when you can go, well, how come Robert Pattinson's Batman isn't the same Batman as this one? Or is the Penguin not involved with it? And so I think you throw too many Elseworld projects in there, people will generally just start getting a bit annoyed and confused, going, why isn't this person in there? Why have I got to watch that story when there's another Batman film coming out in 3 years' time? And why does that not make sense? Unless you end up with a big crossover in a Justice League film, where something with like multiversal happens and allows them to bring Elseworld stuff into it, and that's just their long-term game, is to go, these are some Elseworld projects that are going to come along, and eventually they bring it all together.
Yeah, and I think you're right about the Batman is the reason they had to announce that in the first place. But also, I think it has a lot to do with how good the movies end up. I think it opens a door for different directors and actors to sign on to projects. They don't have to sign on for 10 years, and I think the Elseworlds stuff is meant for something dramatically different. So I think it should be. There's no way you just do like an Elseworlds Batman movie where he's fighting a different villain. That was a terrible example because they have the Batman universe, but you know what I mean. So Lanterns is coming out. There's no way they're going to have an Elseworlds Lantern movie where it's like a similar hero versus villain or whatever they're doing. It would be dramatically different, and I don't think they would do an Elseworlds like Superman came out. I don't think an Elseworlds Superman coming out anytime soon. I think the Elseworlds will be dramatically different when they do, and labeled as such. So hopefully. It's a valid concern with the regular fan base being confused. There's already a lot going on with Marvel or DC, so I think that's valid. I think it's up to the filmmaker. You just got to make a good movie, and that's what matters. But yeah,